Welcome back to Mr. Gard's maths class. In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at parallel lines. So, looking at the left, I've got a sort of a funny image of some train tracks. Now, the reason I've put those train tracks there is because parallel lines are two or more lines that both run or all run in the same direction, as in they never are going to cross, a bit like a set of train tracks. Now, the picture is not great because some of the pictures that I was looking at kind of make the train tracks look like they converge off in the distance, but that's more of a perspective thing. So parallel lines are two or more lines that run in the exact same direction. Now, what's important to note is that we signify this by putting these little arrows pointing in the same direction. This guy's here. Now, we can, some shapes actually have multiple sets of parallel lines. We'll look at that in a later lesson. So it's important to make sure that those little arrows are matching, as in if you have a single arrow, make sure the other side has a single arrow. Now, moving over to the right, we have some really important terms that we're going to be talking about in today's lesson. I highly suggest that you write these following things down as you go. Pause the video if you need to, but I suggest you write them as we go. As you can see here under the transversal line heading, I have two parallel lines, both going in the same direction. Now, a transversal line is a line that cuts across parallel lines. It could be like that, it could be like that. Doesn't really matter. The purplish coloured line there is the transversal line. Now, that's going to be important for the next little bit as we look down to corresponding angles. Now, when I put that line in like that, you might remember from the last lesson you kind of have a vertically opposite. These would be vertically opposite angles. Now, corresponding angles, as it says up in the top right, are equal angles. Now, again, this is something that you need to try and remember. There and there, those two angles are identical. They're matching angles. So if that was, let's say, maybe 70 degrees, then obviously this one must be 70 degrees. You'll also find that, it's a little bit wide. This angle here is corresponding to that yellow angle. There's lots of corresponding angles when you have parallel lines. It's up to you how you remember this. So, corresponding angles. The next one is alternate angles. So again, I'm going to put my transversal line, and this time, alternate angles are these ones. This angle matches this angle. Kind of, one way you can sort of remember is it kind of makes a Z. That's one way I've been taught. Likewise, up here we make sort of an F shape. It's totally up to you. I've just seen those ways of remembering. But an alternate angle like this one and this one are alternate angles. So the color coordination ones. So alternate angles, and they are also equal. So make sure you record that. And then finally, we're going to look at co-interior. Now, as it says, these ones add to 90 degrees. So this angle and this angle, they are not the same. So I'm going to symbolize that by putting two curves on one of them and one curve on the other. But what I do know is that I've made a mistake. That's a bit silly of me. They actually add to 180 degrees. Glad I picked that up. So those two internal angles, or co-interior, think of the word interior, means inside, angles add to 180 degrees. So you can look at it like it's a C, like that. And those angles add to 180 degrees. Do not get confused and think that they are matching. You can clearly see on this diagram that this one here is much bigger than the one over here. So if I was to tell you, let's zoom in on it, if I was to tell you that that was 110 degrees, we can definitely work out how big the other one is. If they both add up to 180, it's 110 plus let's just give it a question mark. Take 110 from both sides, it's going to leave us with 70 degrees is equal to the question mark. So that guy in there must be 70 degrees. So take stock of that, make sure you record all of that information down. Occasionally you're going to see a question like this. I've now got a parallelogram that I'm drawing in here. I'm just going to do it freehand, something like that. These lines are parallel and these lines are parallel, but you'll notice that they are in different directions. So the top and bottom I have as a double arrow, and the left and the right I have as a single arrow. Now, if I was to give you the information that this corner was 60 degrees, can I work out what this angle is? Well, one way of doing it is you can extend these lines. If you extended them like that, you'll find that this angle and this angle are those co-interior angles, and we know that co-interior angles add to 180. Therefore, this angle in here must be 120 degrees. Likewise, this angle in here must be 60 because it is alternate angles, like so. And we can start, you can look at this one, you can look at this, if I can get rid of this highlighter. This angle in here must be 120 degrees because it is supplementary. So commonly when we explain our answers, we will use the information that we have, such as their corresponding angles, or they are the same because they are alternate angles, or this number is 70 because angles are co-interior. That's it for this lesson. Make sure you've recorded all of those words and angles because there's a few there and they can be a little bit confusing. So write them all down. It's only going to help you when it comes to revision time. Thanks for listening.